Muito boa tarde. Tive a oportunidade de receber o representante especial do Presidente Zelensky, Igor Sofska, a quem exprimi, uma vez mais, a plena solidariedade de Portugal, do governo português, do povo português, para com a Ucrânia e o povo ucraniano nesta situação difícil em que se encontram em função da invasão da Rússia. Tanto no plano da União Europeia como no plano das relações bilaterais entre Portugal e a Ucrânia, temos manifestado nas mais variadas formas todo o apoio que temos podido em relação à Ucrânia, na forma como reage a este conflito, a esta invasão ilegal, injustificada, não provocada e que compromete a independência, a soberania e a integridade territorial da Ucrânia. Ainda ontem, no Conselho Europeu, foi aprovado o 6º pacote de sanções, que na prática irá terminar as importações de cerca de 90% do petróleo vindo da Rússia para a União Europeia até o final do ano. Foi também reforçado o apoio humanitário à Ucrânia e o apoio financeiro, quer o apoio financeiro de curto prazo, o apoio de liquidez, através de uma assistência macrofinanceira até 9 mil milhões de euros para enfrentar necessidades de curto prazo, quer uma primeira discussão sobre o papel relevante que a União Europeia desempenhará na reconstrução da Ucrânia, quando esse momento chegar, com a constituição de uma plataforma de reconstrução que envolverá a União Europeia, os seus Estados-membros, também a Ucrânia, no apoio financeiro muito decisivo à reconstrução e às reformas que terão que ser levadas a cabo neste país. Também um apoio económico, através da suspensão de qualquer tarifa à importação de bens da Ucrânia, o que na prática coloca desde já a Ucrânia no mercado interno europeu quanto à livre circulação de bens, e também o continuado apoio militar que tem vindo a ser prestado por vários Estados-membros, entre os quais Portugal e a União Europeia no seu conjunto, relativamente à Ucrânia. Portugal tem não só participado ativamente nestas deliberações europeias e tem sido um ator na aprovação de todas estas dimensões de apoio, quer na aprovação de sanções mais fortes contra a Rússia, quer na concessão de ajudas e apoio à Ucrânia. Destacaria apenas o acolhimento de refugiados ucranianos que têm fugido do conflito. São já cerca de 38 mil as pessoas que solicitaram o regime de proteção temporária em Portugal, o que na prática mais do que duplica a comunidade ucraniana no nosso país. E, entre outras doações e concessões de apoio vário, médico, de proteção civil, humanitário, etc., destacaria o acordo que foi assinado na recente visita do Primeiro-Ministro a Kiev, no sentido de conceder à Ucrânia um apoio de 250 milhões de euros, o que, para um país da nossa dimensão, e comparando em termos europeus, é um compromisso muitíssimo significativo de apoio para com a Ucrânia. Também na visita do Primeiro-Ministro a Kiev, foi disponibilizado, e é isso que está a ser concretizado hoje, o apoio de Portugal à Ucrânia em termos de assistência técnica no que diz respeito ao processo de integração europeia. Portugal tem um know-how acumulado do seu próprio processo de adesão e do acompanhamento do processo de construção europeia ao longo dos últimos anos, e esta partilha de experiências e de conhecimento relativamente a um processo técnico que é exigente, que é complexo, que é bastante rigoroso, que Portugal hoje está aqui a partilhar e que continua naturalmente disponível para, no plano técnico, proceder à partilha de experiências e de conhecimento, ajudando a Ucrânia neste processo que desencadeou de adesão à União Europeia. Estas eram as primeiras palavras que tinha para partilhar convosco e passo agora a palavra ao representante especial do Presidente Zelensky. Por favor.
Thank you, dear State Secretary. Thank you for having me here. And let me start from giving a really word of thanks and appreciation to the state of Portugal and to the Portuguese people who are really helping Ukraine from the first days when Ukraine is suffering an open aggression from the Russian Federation. We feel your support, we feel it strongly, and both my president, Ukrainian government, and Ukrainian people do feel, do understand that you are with us. It is about Ukrainians who are here in your country as IDPs, but having your warm hospitality, your support, your help, people who are willing to contribute to your country while staying here, but definitely will come back as soon as we will win over this Russian aggression. My visit here to Portugal comes on after a very important visit of your Prime Minister to my country. That was the first ever visit of Prime Minister of Portugal to Ukraine throughout the independence, and it was a timely visit. It was a resultful visit. It was a visit of clear political support by your Prime Minister to my country, and it was also a visit which brought many positive results, and Prime Minister agreed with my President that I will come here to discuss your experience in European integration of your country and which exactly knowledge can be borrowed by us when having this very important path through the European Union. We summoned an application to become a member of the EU on the 4th day of war. 28th of February, my President applied to the leadership of the EU and to the presidency country that Ukraine is ready to start its path to become a full-fledged European Union member. We haven't started it from scratch. Ukraine is undergoing an association agreement. We are fulfilling the provisions of the association agreement, and according to the estimation of the European Union, which was given during the last EU-Ukraine summit in October last year, we are having progressive and positive results of our cooperation within the association agreement. We managed to fulfill 65% of this agreement. Despite of war, we are proceeding with the reforms. Our economy is working. Ukraine is further entering into the European single market. At times of war, we joined the ENTSO-E. At times of war, Ukraine is ready to enlarge its export to the European Union countries, be it agriculture exports, and we are ready collectively to do everything for food crisis not to happen because of Russian aggression. It's also about the Ukraine industrial project, so we are very thankful for the European Commission and the member states to grant zero import duties to Ukrainian goods for a period within a year, next year. So it's really helpful for Ukraine struggling in the war and would be definitely contributing to the European economy as well. But at the time of war, we decided to apply for the EU, and we started already this path. Ukraine was given a questionnaire, and Ukraine returned this questionnaire, filled in 5,500 pages of volumes, were returned in a month to the European Commission. And now the European Commission is preparing an opinion vis-à-vis Ukraine, whether Ukraine is adhering to the Copenhagen criteria, whether Ukraine is capable of proceeding with the next steps to its full-fledged European Union membership. And we really count on in Ukraine that provided the opinion is positive, provided the opinion is given a green light to Ukraine, next steps, next logical steps will be awaiting for us during the next European Council meeting. And by the next steps, I mean candidate status for my country. We deserve it. We done everything to have it. We deserve it. We done everything to have it. And we are promising to have every effort, every reform being carried out in order to near us to the European Union. That's why we're talking to the European Union member states. My president is talking to the leaders of the EU. He had a profound talk with your Prime Minister in Kyiv vis-à-vis this issue. And really, we are ready to provide you every argument, every proof that Ukraine deserves to be a part of the European family, to be a part of the European Union. And we will continue with this. Definitely during my visit I will also discuss other very important means of how your country could help to Ukraine in times of war. As the State Secretary mentioned the sanctions, really we are thankful for the European Union for the positive decision on the 6th package of sanctions. But if you ask me whether those sanctions are enough, definitely not. We want more European Union sanctions to be adopted against Russia. Certainly the sanctions on the energy products coming from Russia should be enlarged, because every euro Russia earns trading gas, oil with European Union members, it immediately spends on the military industry, and military industry produces more ballistic missiles, more tanks, more fighter jets to kill more and more Ukrainians. We definitely need all the Russian banks to be cut off from SWIFT. We definitely need enlarged personal sanctions against politically exposed persons in Russia, because every one of them is responsible for this aggression. It's not only Putin himself, it's the political elite, it's the regional elite who support the aggressor and make everything possible for the aggression to continue against my country. And definitely I will be talking with your government representatives about the possibility of further weapon supply to my country. We badly need heavy weaponry now. We're having difficult circumstances in the Donbas. Now Russia is putting every effort to win the battle over Donbas, to take this region into their possession, but it's definitely that they are not able to do, and more quicker, more sooner, and in more quantity we'll get the weapon from our Western allies, the highest chances would be for us to take back the occupied Donbas, to take back the occupied territories of south of Ukraine, and to bring us closer, even closer to the victory over Russian aggression. Thank you.
Muito obrigado. Estamos agora disponíveis para responder a questões.
Muito boa tarde, Pedro André Esteves, da RTP. Começo com uma pergunta para o Vice-Chefe de Gabinete do Presidente ucraniano. O Primeiro-Ministro português, quando esteve em Kiev, lembrou que a adesão de Portugal à União Europeia, o período desde o pedido de adesão até se concretizar a adesão, prolongou-se durante bastantes anos. Quanto tempo é que a Ucrânia está disposta a esperar até que o pedido de adesão seja aceite? Para o Secretário de Estado tenho uma pergunta sobre a ajuda que está a ser oferecida, esta ajuda, este apoio técnico para o pedido de adesão por parte da Ucrânia. Se neste processo acredita, do que tem visto, que a Ucrânia reúne condições para que possa integrar a União Europeia. Obrigado.
Well, thank you for the question. Really, I wouldn't speculate now about the exact number of months, years, or days which is needed for Ukraine to become a full-fledged member of the European Union. It took some time for Portugal, it took some time for other countries, it was in other circumstances. Now we have what we have. We have the state of war in Ukraine, we are fighting the Russian aggression together with you, because we're defending not only ourselves, we are defending European values, but at the same time we are ready to start this path. And in order to start with path, we need to have this candidate status, fixing the beginning. It might take some time. It might take more than several months or even several years. But here much will depend on Ukraine, definitely. And once again, I reiterate that we are ready to fulfill our home task. We are ready to proceed with the reforms. we are ready to proceed with the adaptation of our legislation to the acquis, but much would also depend on the European Union itself. How quick European Union leadership and leaders of the member states would be in taking courageous and bold political decisions, because it's sometimes needed to take a strong political decision to overcome a bureaucracy, to overcome an artificial obstacles. Ukraine is moving forward. We are not omitting any single stage of the procedure. The procedure is ahead of us. We will not invent any new procedure, any special procedure for Ukraine. But yes, we are opting for the fast-track procedure. Why? Because the time flies a little bit quicker now for Ukraine, which is undergoing the war, expresses its desire to become a part of the European future for my country, rather than a part of the Russian past. So that is why, giving us a chance to start properly, to start in the circumstances we have, would be really appreciated by Ukrainians, by Ukrainian people, and would definitely bring additional value to the European Union itself. Thank you.
Bom, o processo de adesão foi iniciado, o pedido de adesão foi apresentado pela Ucrânia logo após o início da guerra. O processo está em curso, até o momento tem decorrido de forma bastante acelerada, mas sabemos como estes processos são habitualmente, e têm sido em todos os casos até o momento, processos demorados. Mais do que serem demorados, são processos complexos, rigorosos, exigentes. E é por isso que Portugal manifesta aqui hoje, na sequência da visita do Primeiro-Ministro a Kiev, a disponibilidade de ajudar a Ucrânia com o conhecimento que tem sobre este tipo de processos. E, portanto, o processo que iniciamos hoje é um processo de ajuda à Ucrânia no seu pedido de adesão, partilhando o know-how que existe sobre essa matéria. Quanto ao pedido em si, ele segue um trâmite que é conhecido. Neste momento, a Comissão está a apreciar as respostas que a Ucrânia deu a um extenso e muito detalhado questionário. Isso está a ser examinado pela Comissão Europeia e, com base nessa análise, a Comissão apresentará, ainda durante o mês de junho, um parecer que será submetido ao Conselho Europeu do final de junho. E é nessa altura, em função do que for o parecer da Comissão Europeia, apreciando as respostas e o estado de preparação da Ucrânia, que poderá haver uma pronúncia sobre os próximos passos a dar neste processo. Portanto, o processo está a andar, tem vindo a correr de forma bastante acelerada, muito mais acelerada do que é habitual neste tipo de processos. Nós estamos disponíveis para prestar à Ucrânia toda a ajuda neste processo com o conhecimento que temos e aguardamos o parecer técnico da Comissão, que nos permitirá avaliar os próximos passos a dar.
Boa tarde. Helena Lins, jornalista da CNN Portugal. Eu tenho uma questão sobre as negociações. A Rússia diz que está aberta ao diálogo e culpa-vos a vocês, culpa a Ucrânia por não estar a haver negociações. O que é que nos pode dizer sobre o ponto de situação das negociações?
You know, from the first days of war, we were not ruling out the possibility of diplomatic solutions for what was happening against Ukraine, namely Russian aggression. And you remember we formed a delegation which had several rounds of negotiations with the Russian delegation. At the beginning of those negotiations, Russians will not even listen to Ukrainian position. They will only put ultimatums, blackmailings, crossing or drawing the red lines, using some terms of denazification, demilitarization, or whatever. And that's when they've expecting soon victories over Ukraine on the battlefield. When they understand that they are failing on the battlefield, they started to suddenly listen to Ukrainian position. And you remember the Istanbul round of negotiations, they even took into consideration Ukrainian possible proposals. But since then, they seem to come back to the previous position of just, you know, having only those conditions of possible negotiations, on possible agreements. Now, unfortunately, there's nothing to talk about with any Russian official, any member of the delegation, because the real negotiations, resultful negotiations, may only start on two preconditions. First, withdrawing all Russian troops at least to the line before 24th of February this year. And secondly, ceasefire, complete ceasefire on the territory of Ukraine, because sometimes even on those territories which were liberated from Russian armed forces, like the north of Ukraine, they resumed the firing across the border. When you have your real negotiations, you have not missiles flying above your heads or your people being shelled. The victory of Ukraine will definitely be needed a kind of settlement or negotiation. So definitely the end of the war will be at the diplomatic table. But for the time being, the only negotiations which can take place are the negotiations on the battlefield. And really there is only one person in Russia who could take serious negotiations. It's Putin. But I haven't heard anything officially from Russian Federation for him personally to be ready to negotiate any real serious negotiations.
Olá, boa tarde, Ana Geraldes da SIC. Gostava de perguntar ao Sr. Vice-Chefe de Gabinete se está satisfeito com o apoio de Portugal e se, de que alguma forma, está satisfeito com o apoio que Portugal tem prestado à Ucrânia. Do you want me to ask in English?
Better, if it's
maybe.
possible.
So I'm asking you if you are satisfied with the support you have been receiving from Portugal, and why is it so important to have this technical support for a candidature to the European Union that you yourself have said that it's done and deserved and effort that you have done. Para o Sr. Secretário de Estado, gostava de perguntar se há algum tipo de apoio que a Ucrânia pediu que Portugal não pode satisfazer neste momento. Falou-se em armamento pesado em alguma altura, se a Ucrânia neste momento pediu algum tipo de apoio adicional que Portugal não pôde satisfazer. Obrigada.
Well, thank you for the question. We're generally satisfied with the level of support Portugal is rendering to Ukraine in different domains. I was already mentioned the political support we're having, and this mere visit of your Prime Minister was very important. Financial support is very important, and the agreement State Secretary was mentioned is also very important on many reasons. We're talking now about restoration of Ukraine after the victory. And this is another area where Portugal can help us. And my president suggested to your Prime Minister when he was visiting Kyiv to choose this or that region or city for Portugal to restore it after the victory. Your Prime Minister suggested another option, and we will be discussing this also during my visit as well. But the financial support which we already received from Portugal is very important in terms of supporting our liquidity balance, because right now my country needs up to 5 billion euros per month in order to support the liquidity balance of Ukraine, in order to pay pensions to those retired, in order to pay wages for the soldiers who are fighting in the forefront. So we are asking each and every member of the European Union to render us any assistance possible, and every euro counts. So many thanks once again to the agreement which was signed during the visit of your Prime Minister. And certainly those areas which we already discussed and will be discussing, I mean weaponry sanctions, is also a very important sign of support from Portugal. Every country of the European Union has a voice. Every country of the European Union has something to suggest to Ukraine in terms of weaponry. We are not asking for something which will undermine each of this or that country's defense capabilities. We're asking for the surplus of amounts of weaponry which might not be used being somewhere in warehouses and storages, or might be a little bit outdated, but would be definitely needed for my country immediately and now. So definitely we will count on the support of Portugal in this regard as well. And as far as the technical support, as far as the European integration process is concerned, yes, we need your advice, because you had this way before us. You know now how the bureaucracy system, this Brussels bureaucracy, is working. So you will probably ready to share us all these peculiarities to prevent us from maybe doing something wrong. And that's why I gladly received the offer of your Prime Minister to come here and to discuss with State Secretary and with his people the peculiarities of complicated European bureaucracy, complicated European Union, but definitely we are ready and eager to be a part of it.
Bom, Portugal tem sido inequívoco na ajuda e na manifestação de solidariedade para com a Ucrânia nos vários domínios, no domínio financeiro, como foi aqui referido, com o acordo que foi assinado em Kiev, num montante muitíssimo significativo para um país da nossa dimensão, e quando nos comparamos com outros países, de facto, esse apoio no valor de 250 milhões tem uma expressão muitíssimo significativa. Apoia, desde logo, no imediato, as necessidades de liquidez da Ucrânia e também tendo em vista a reconstrução, a hipótese que foi mencionada e que terá que ser estudada, mas que foi mencionada quando o Primeiro-Ministro esteve em Kiev, foi um apoio à reconstrução das escolas e esse esforço existirá e seguramente Portugal estará na linha da frente a ajudar a Ucrânia nesse momento que desejamos que possa iniciar-se o mais rapidamente possível. Também no plano militar tem vindo a ser concedida ajuda militar através de diferentes tipos de equipamento, em várias levas de entregas de material militar que têm sido concedidas à Ucrânia e, portanto, nos vários, para além do, obviamente, todo o apoio humanitário que o Governo, mas mais do que o Governo, a sociedade civil, as autarquias, as empresas, as pessoas individualmente se têm mobilizado para conceder todo esse apoio. Portanto, nas várias dimensões em que a Ucrânia tem vindo a solicitar o nosso apoio, a nossa resposta tem sido, obviamente, e continuará a ser afirmativa.
Ana Paula Pires, da agência Lusa. A minha pergunta tem a ver ainda com a questão do pedido de adesão da Ucrânia à União Europeia. O Sr. Secretário de Estado disse há pouco tempo que esperava ainda detalhes para definir a posição de Portugal relativamente à proposta do Presidente Macron sobre uma comunidade política europeia, que poderia ser uma espécie de antecâmara da adesão da Ucrânia. Gostava de saber se já teve esses detalhes, uma vez que já estamos a 20 dias da cimeira, não é? E qual seria a posição de Portugal para o visitante ucraniano? I would like to go back to the question of Ukraine becoming a member of the European Union. President Zelensky rejected the proposal of President Macron, and that was welcomed by the European Commission about a step to go to the European Union as part of a European political union. In these contacts in Madrid, Portugal and other countries, have you changed your position about this issue, or do you maintain your position?
Bom, esse é um debate que foi iniciado pelo Presidente Macron no Dia da Europa, no dia 9 de maio. É um debate que terá lugar necessariamente na União Europeia ao longo dos próximos tempos. O Presidente Macron, no Conselho Europeu de segunda e terça, comunicou aos seus colegas do Conselho Europeu que nos próximos dias apresentará um documento com ideias mais detalhadas sobre essa sugestão que formulou da criação de uma comunidade política europeia e, portanto, aguardamos, naturalmente, termos noção sobre os detalhes ou ideias mais concretas sobre essa proposta para podermos participar num debate que, em todo o caso, terá lugar. Participaremos ativamente nesse debate em torno das ideias que forem apresentadas pela presidência francesa.
Well, we in Ukraine also don't know any details about this proposal of President Macron, though my president spoke to President Macron after that. and the picture has not become clearer. But we will be interested to know the details if they follow. But if to answer your question, we do not need any possible compromise, semi-decisions, or absence of decision, though absence of decision is possible. It's also an answer. But really, the initiatives which are uniting countries, some of them opted to leave the European Union, I mean UK. Some of them striving and being a pro-European to the extent that not so many countries, I think, of the European Union are, I mean Ukraine. Some of them are being candidates, some of them starting their accession negotiations, I mean Balkans and Moldova and Georgia. Logically, it's a little bit strange mixture. We need a very clear decision of whether we are capable or not to become a European Union member, and whether we are capable of starting the path to the European Union. When we hear some explanations that, for instance, it will contradict to the Western Balkans path to the EU, we have a very clear answer to that. My president received 2 letters from 2 Western Balkan states. First letter from President of North Macedonia, Steve Pendarovsky, and the second letter being from the Prime Minister of Albania, Edi Rama, and both leaders clearly stated North Macedonia and Albania do completely support granting Ukraine a candidate status in the European Union in June this year. Full stop. We are waiting the same letter from another country of the Western Balkans. This example shows how sometimes those objections to granting Ukraine the next logical steps are artificial or invention of bureaucracy, or just simple absence of will to admit that Ukrainians who are fighting against not only against Russian aggression, but not only for its territory and for its people, but for European values, for European Union, are not trusted, are not probably Europeans, and they will be not given the decision they desire. So no, we will not accept any compromises, and the only decision we would like to have is the candidate status.
Obrigado.
Thank you.